And I met the owner of that tour. I showed him what I recorded. I hit it off with him, and I started working there shortly after. So it's been just about 5 years now since I've been working at the Fortress.
Oh, wow. So when we talk about, our EVPs and things like that, we talk about like relevance and, who we get. And so what kind of, are they male voices, female voices, any sort of, pattern to it? Are they?
Yeah, we do get a few recurring names, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Male and female. Where the tour takes place at Fort
Mm-hmm.
East Hello, a lot of people ended up dying there of yellow fever back in the 18th, and it left over a lot of energy. Some of it's residual. Some of them, though, I do think are intelligent or have some
Mm-hmm.
kind of consciousness going on. But yeah, we get a couple of the same names. The video I referenced earlier, I asked out loud, "Can somebody tell me where they're from?" And I get a clear response that says, "I'm from Boston."
Oh,
Super. I'll send this one to you.
awesome.
Listen to it. Yeah, so we'll get intelligent responses sometimes. There's a couple parts of the Fortress that tend to be more active. In 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two different things happening there. One is Robert, right?
Right.
Spirit or spirits that are around him. But then quite a bit is left over from 160 some years ago. They're still letting us know that they're around.
Oh, wow. So since you brought it up, and we talk about Robert. So for people, the listeners that are not familiar with the story around Robert, I don't know how you can't be familiar with the story about Robert, but can you tell us a little bit about Robert the doll and his story? And
Yeah.
yeah.
Very beginning. Yeah. So Robert was given to a little boy named Eugene Otto down here in Key West as a birthday present. This is the early 1900s. The boy was like 4 or 5 years old. His parents gave him the toy, and he became obsessed with this doll. And he ended up dedicating his entire life to him. As soon as he got him, he was just obsessed with him. He would take him everywhere. He would treat it as if it were a real person. He would set food aside for Robert, and he would give him his own clothes. He gave him his own name. The little boy's real name was Robert Otto. He
Okay.
gave the doll the name Robert, and then the kid went by Eugene the rest of his life. So his family notices that the boy is very attached to the doll, but they start having paranormal experiences in the house, and they attributed it all to the doll. They would hear the boy playing with the doll, but it would sound like a different voice was in him, and they would see the doll move on its own. Objects in the house started to move around by themselves. But the boy Gene blamed all of the occurrences on Robert. And this activity happened for years and years and years. Later on, when Gene turned 18, he ended up leaving Key West. He went over to Europe to study art. He was very talented, Gene. At school in Europe, he meets his wife, this lady named Parker. They travel back to the United States. They get married, and they lived in New York for a while. And from what we know, they had a pretty normal relationship, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
Until Gene's parents were ill, they got sick. So they left him the artist house, what's now called house, his childhood home in Key West. So Gene brings his wife Annette Parker down to Key West. They show up to the artist house. Gene tells Anne there for the first time that he wants to introduce her to his best friend from Key West. He takes her into the house, goes up to the attic, pulls out this chest, opens it up, and then the obsession started again. And he spent the rest of his life sort of locked up with the until he died in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
After that, the doll changed hands. He was left up in that tower for quite died. Eventually, somebody else bought the house. Lady named purchased it. She goes up finding the doll there. She too became obsessed and developed this attachment to him. And she had for years until eventually one morning at the fortress, where the tour is now, Fort East Martello, Myrtle Reuter comes into the fort holding Robert, gives him to the staff, and says, "This is Otto's Robert. I need you to take him from me. He's haunted, and I can't have him anymore." And she told the staff that the night prior, Robert had her in her bedroom, or shut, so that she couldn't get out. So that was it for her. She left him there, and Robert's there ever since. It was actually just the anniversary last week. It was August 19th, 1994. He ended up at the fort.
Wow.
And she's been there.
Wow. Now, I went to Key West many years ago when my kids were small, and I did not go into the Robert the Doll exhibit because I had kids, and they were going to be like, and you know how kids are, they're kind of like, they're like, what are we doing here? But anyway, so I didn't get a chance to go in, but from what I understand, that there are rules to viewing Robert.
Yeah. The main one is you have to be nice. People that go there to antagonize Robert or like disrespect him in some capacity, they leave there and experience strings of bad luck. Sometimes it can be intense. The scale of it's always different. People will blame him for, like car trouble on the way out of there, like their car breaks down out in the parking lot, like they have a flat tire. Some things are more intense. The only way to lift the curse is to apologize to Robert. To end the bad luck happening, you have to say sorry to him. So people will come back and talk to him and go into his room and apologize. But more often, people will write to Robert. They'll send him letters. And so me and my coworkers, we write the letters to Robert. And some of them are crazy. People blame him for accidents, injuries, illness, struggle. I read a letter to him a couple of days ago, but he blamed him for his divorce. People really feel the need to talk to him again, say that they're sorry. He has over 10,000 letters now. People apologizing to him.
Wow. So, and all those letters, obviously you keep, right? Do you have like all those letters, like?
Them keeps them, and they file them away. And then they have a slideshow in the fortress,
Mm-hmm.
and they upload. They put it in a display, and you read what people have.
Oh wow, that's intense. I'm really looking. Oh, excuse me, as I switch my shift here. I'm really looking forward to going there and having the experience with him. I don't know if I'm like cursing myself, but but
All about this goes with ghost hunting in general. It's
mm-hmm.
all about, right, like what you're trying to get out of there. So when people go there and they've heard these stories about him and they try to, then that's what happens to them that walk out of there and go wrong for them after. What most people have heard about, supposed to ask him for a photo.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've heard that before. Mm-hmm.
There's origins to that story, right? That's something the museum kind of came with. You open yourself up to whatever's in there when you do that, right? You ask it for permission. You enable whatever interact with you, which isn't great. Nobody knows what lingers around him, what's attached to the doll. So when you come up to it, you're enabling it to come through and sort of influence you. So I always tell people if they do end up taking a photo of him, or if they talk to him at all, it's good to say goodbye when you're be very firm with action. Close out that session.
Yeah. It's good. It's great to hear you say that because we're like on the same page. Like I say a lot of times, what you put out is what you're going to get. If you go into a location and you're there and you're going to antagonize, you're like, come at me, bro. It's going to say, hold my beer, and you give what you get. So yeah, but I never heard of that, like ending the session, with Robert by saying goodbye, almost as though, like we would if we were doing any other communicative event, whether it be Ouija board or pendulum or what have you, to close it and, set your intention and your boundary that, it's over. So in terms with Robert, when you do investigate, because I'm assuming you have, in his space or whatever, what would you say was the most interesting interaction or happening that you had while you were investigating Robert?
A couple come to mind. Spend a good amount of time alone in there with him before and after the tour. Like I stood up and then clean it all up. So I've had my share of moments alone. What sounds like voices. But while we do the tour, while we're all together, this story I have accrued kind of goes more with like the photo ID. I had these three younger kids in there. They were like 18, 19 years old. Obnoxious during the tour, like they all yelled at him. Like, or they told me that he went up to.
Oh, hold on, Jan. I don't mean to interrupt you, but your audio went out.
Oh, is that any better?
Yeah. Okay. So 18-year-olds, they were being obnoxious. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So they make fun of him and they yell at him and stuff. The next night they showed back up before we started the tour with their parents, and the whole family was genuinely disturbed and frightened, asking if they could go back in there and apologize to him. And they told us the morning after they went out on a boat together and their boat sank. Like the Coast Guard had to come out and rescue him. But like actually being in the room around him. We use like every type of device. We set up motion detectors around them, and we have EMF readers for everybody. We do dowsing sessions with the pendulum or like the dowsing rods, and yeah, we get solid responses. What we've been doing recently is the Estes method.
Yes.
Around him. Yeah. And yeah, people get responses that are relevant to the story that kind of fit in with the history, what we know about him. But it's always hard to tell who you're talking to in there because so many people died in that building. There's different energy, different spirits coming through. So sometimes it's hard to decipher who it is.
Oh, of course, my dog's gonna bark. No, you're absolutely right. And it's like I always say too. It's, Key West has such a rich history itself. You don't know who's just passing through either. You really don't. And you could be talking to anybody that was from the past in that area.
Yeah.
And also I want to talk about some other haunted places. I know Robert is probably the most well known, but other places too, like the firehouse is haunted, and from what I understand, and some other places. You can pick whichever one you want to talk about.
Yeah, sure. So we offer the tours that we offer. Our main one is at the Fort East Martello with Robert. We also do one a few times a week at the old Firehouse Museum in Key West. And I've been there several times and have had some good audio evidence, really good spirit box sessions in there. That building is quite old. It's from the early 1900s. The spirit that most people try to contact in there is Bum Farto, the old fire chief. Are you familiar with his story?
No, tell me the story of Bum Farto.
It's a mystery. He was the fire chief, I think, in the 60s or the 70s. Anyway, he got caught up in a drug sting, and like the DEA was after. but he went missing. He was supposed to go on trial up in Miami, and he went missing somewhere between Key West and mainland Florida. Nobody knows what happens to this. Nobody knows what happened to him. Whether he fled or like escaped, or maybe like the mob murdered him. Nobody really knows. But we have a lot of his personal belongings up there. His old jacket, his old glasses, his collection of cigars, things that he was really, really attached to. And people feel like they hear him in there, and he lingers around. So most of like my more intense experiences there, I think, have been focused around that. But there's a lot happening in there, and just Key West is just so old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the buildings here are, over 160, 170 years old. They all have a lot of energy in them.
Yeah, and plus, Key West is, it's got a lot of energy just from the people that go there. It's but and varying energies. There's that kickback, layback kind of energy, or whatever, and then there's party atmosphere, too,
Sure.
down in Duval Street or whatever. And like you said, there's older energies. And all sorts. So it's great fertile ground for all that kind of investigations and stuff like that. Is there one place in Key West that's either not on the tour or whatever, that is also rumored to have activity, whether it be a cemetery, a beach site, or or whatever, that's known more locally than it is known all
My
over?
favorite one would be Captain Tony's. It's a bar down here. Have you ever been in there?
Probably when I was down there. I just don't remember the name of it, but yeah.
It's an old building from the 1850s. Its original use was a morgue. It was the town's morgue. So it's a funky layout. Some like half of the bar is much lower than the other half.
Okay.
That side of it was the morgue. So they would lay down blocks of ice, put bodies on them, put ice over them. But now the main part of the bar, there's a tree growing through the center of it.
Okay.
That tree used to be the town's hanging tree.
Oh, get out.
And criminals there, pirates back in the 1850s. Yeah, and you can just feel it in there. It's just this old dark, dingy place. But now it's one of the more popular bars here on the island. One of the more famous spirits, somebody that people encounter there is called the Lady in Blue.
Okay.
It's the story of this woman was accused of murdering her husband, and then the town kind of formed a mob, and they drug her out of her house, took her to where the bar is now, and hung her from that tree, and she was dressed in this blue dress. And now people in there see an apparition wearing blue, or like a blue mist will go by them, and people think that that's her, the Lady in Blue.
Oh, wow. All these little things that you don't know unless it's like, unless you have the the scoop. What do the local people that do the locals kind of accept this as all it happens, or do they kind of look at it kind of more skeptical?
There's a lot of superstition on the island. I've lived here for 5 years. A lot of my local friends that I've made, they refuse to come into the fortress. They will not step foot in there, and they believe it. They've heard stories, or their family members have had things happen to them, but they don't want to go in there. They want to let them be, let Robert be. They don't want to, invite anything in or antagonize anybody in there. But yeah, no, they believe it, and the stories have been passed down from generation to generation, and yeah, they hold it in high regard. I would say they definitely respect them.
The stories.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not not that I want to jump around or anything, but I am. I'm now thinking about the fire chief, Bum Farto, talking he left all of his stuff. He just disappeared. I was just thinking that you're he has a cigar case and his eyeglasses and everything, so he just disappeared. He left all of his stuff.
Yeah. Poof. Nobody knows. He was on the way to a trial up in mainland Florida, I think in Miami, and somewhere between here and Miami, he vanished. And there's different ideas. Some people think he may have hopped on a boat and like somebody took him to Cuba or like some other country.
Right.
Or some people think like the mob got him on the way up there, so he couldn't talk. Like he couldn't like go to trial. But yeah, so they have his jacket, his cigars, glasses. It was his office up
Right.
up there. So he left a bunch of stuff up there.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Now I'm gonna go, and now I'm gonna go check that out too, because I didn't know any of that. That stuff like that too. Like it fascinates me. It just absolutely fascinates me. Like like what happened to this guy? Because that's like what we do. It's like we try to get answers, right?
Yeah.
So like things like that to me, it's just like.
I have just a quick story. This is a couple of years ago. A local grade school asked us to bring their kids into the firehouse on Halloween. As like a field trip.
Yeah, like what else could go wrong? Go ahead.
we were like, "Are you sure that like do you want us to like a ghost tour?" They're like, "Yeah, no, do it. Like really, use equipment and like really try to like do an investigation." So I have this group of fourth graders sitting up in the office, and Bum Farto's old office, and we're sitting around a table. It's like a poker table they have set up there, and I have a spirit box turned on in the middle of it. And the kids were already afraid. Like it's dark and creepy up there at Halloween. And I asked out loud, "Can anybody tell us what happened to the fire chief, Bum Farto?" Clear as day over the spirit box, it said, "We iced him."
Oh my God.
We iced him. This raspy voice. And the kids didn't really understand like what that meant.
Right.
But me and their chaperones were like, "Oh my goodness!" Like there was some of the better audio evidence I've ever heard. We iced it. It's such a fitting response.
Yeah, you're like, "Okay, kids, let's Kona ice now." It's like
Let's wrap that up here.
It's over, But that's fantastic. I could just imagine presenting to a bunch of people. Hey, for fourth grade, your field trip is.
Yeah, they asked for it.
Yeah, right. You're right. I say that all the time sometimes when I lead groups, I've had one person vomit. I've had another person, she got so scared she vomited, and I had another person that had to run out, and I was kind of like, well, you you wanted it. I'm like, this is what it is, It's like kind of.
That'll happen to us at the fortress. It can be intense in there. The activity is always different. Sometimes like nothing really happens and people won't feel the presence, but other times we go in there and it's like as soon as we start, it's a lot for people, and they often feel the need to get out of there, which is fine. I mean, I've had that happen to me before too, different places where like you feel very unwelcomed and like you're not supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So let me ask this, like just from I did a little bit of the museum part. So when you go to the fort, are you investigating the museum, or is there another area that you go outside and investigate, or?
We do the whole thing in there. We go through the entire building.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in the fortress. So the guided tour, a good portion of it is more focused on the Civil War aspect of it all.
Right.
Like telling you why it's even there, what happened in the 1860s. So that takes up a good chunk of time. The central tower in the fortress, the Citadel. Do you remember going in there?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was used as a hospital in the 1860s, makeshift yellow fever ward.
Right.
That people explore in there. And then the rest of the tour is about Robert, giving you the story and meeting that point.
Right. So do any of the other artifacts that are in the museum affect, like, are we like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, can you tell from some of the artifacts that are in the museum, is it the artifacts that are haunted, or is it the land haunted because it was soaked with so much trauma, or you really just don't even know?
I would say both. There's a few things in there that may have attachments. The first one that comes to mind is there's this old Cuban refugee raft in there that was recovered in like the 70s. And we figure a few people died in that attempted crossing. And we have a lot of activity focused around that raft. But my coworker, the owner of the tour, David Sloane, David has his own collection of haunted items in there that he's amassed over the years, and some of them have some attachments for sure. We have like dozens of things in there. Our most recent addition is this chair that used to be in a Masonic temple down here in Key West.
Oh, wow.
And people sit in this chair. They feel things when they sit in it. But we also have people send dolls to us a lot. Like they want to get these haunted dolls off their hands, whether they got them at an auction or like a family member gave it to them. So they send there to the fort to be Robert's like buddies. And so we have like a dozen of those. But again, it gets muddled as to what you're experiencing. There's so much energy in such a concentrated place.
Yeah, I feel it. I am so excited to go. I'm like, and like I said, when I went, I had my kids. It was a different kind of trip, but now, it was, to go and to experience, not only all the paranormal stuff, but all the history that's connected to it. It's like a different kind of tour. It's like you could go. It's like you go through the tour and you learn the history of the places, but then the paranormal side of it's like it's like you're hearing it from the past itself. It's phenomenal. So we're just about going on about a half hour or so. So is there anything that you want to tell us? You want to tell where we can find you, the tours, all that kind of stuff, what you're up to?
Yeah, so our company is called Ghost Key West, and that's for our website. You can book everything on there, ghostkeywest.com. We do the tour at the Fortress just about every night. It either starts at 8 or 9 o'clock, depends on how you book it.
Right.
So we do that there every evening. The first part of the tour is guided altogether. If you want to stay after to do your own investigation, we offer that as well. If you would book the VIP ticket, we give you flashlights and ghost hunting equipment, and then you can roam around in there and you can freak yourself out. You can conduct your own ghost hunt. And then we also offer a tour at the Firehouse Museum. We do that on Tuesdays and Fridays every week, and that one starts at 8 o'clock.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Like I said, please send me the information, the stuff, and I can splice it in.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you. I have a couple good EVPs on my phone. I can send you good photos and stuff about it in general. I'll send it over to you.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. But thank you very much. And unfortunately, I won't be able to meet you when I come, but I'll be able to, since I think you're going to be away or something, right?
Yes, I'll be on my bachelor party. And
congratulations.
I appreciate it. Another haunted town.
Yeah. Where are you going for that?
New Orleans. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say. It has to be New Orleans. All right. So anyway, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us for Haunted and Hype. And I'm looking forward to all that information so we can splice it all together. Okay.
All right, great. Very nice to talk to you. I hope you enjoy your tour. I'm sure you'll have a blast in there.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, have a great day.
Bye.